All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Tuesday 10X interview. This is the third interview in a series that Jeremy came up with the name, Separation Season. Of course, he admitted that he got the words from an Ed Milet interview, which I thought was kind of cool. And I think it's just couldn't be a better year to do this. Like Jeremy came up with it, ended up being a great interview. I'll put a link down below. That interview has been watched over 1,000 times now. I also interviewed a top producer, Tom Sherman, out of Dallas, Texas, who is elite. It's going to close about 140 million this year, and he was just kind of like, "But I'm not doing very well, and it's really hard." But I'm like, "But bro, you closed over 100 million in production," and he's like, "Yeah, but I could do better." So I'll also put a link to that down below. It hasn't hit the channel yet, but Sean Herrero, I thought separation season, I just needed to find out how you're separating yourself, man.
Dude, I love this. I think that's such a great title, and I think it's timely, but also like, man, we should have done it sooner. It's been a rough year, right? I think that's kind of been the vibe, and so I'm stoked to get to kind of come in here right at the end and hopefully help people plan for 2024.
And why don't you let us know where you think your production's going to wrap up for the year and what your goal is for next year?
I think I'll end up right around 85, 90 million. I'm at
Cool.
77 as of this morning, and we have about 10 million to go. So yeah, and we'll try and of course squeeze some 2-week closes in there to change the game.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I know
Thanks, bro.
you really, going from memory, the first part of the year, you were not slaying it. And then you made some moves. I've interviewed you on some of those, and you really ended up closing the year really, really strong. In fact, you had a couple months where you were in the top 10 at cross country. So, by the way, what were the moves earlier in the year when you went from kind of struggling to getting it together?
I struggle to stay in my lane. I think because I know how to do everything, so I feel the need to do everything, and that's not how it works, right? So I just got really focused on what's working, what's not. I stripped away everything that isn't. I'm a big fan of the Pareto principle. 20% of what I do leads to 80% of my results. So I need to do the 20% way more often and get rid of the other 80. And so it's just a lot of like self-reflection and accountability to make sure I'm doing the things that are uniquely me and move the needle in the right direction. So kind of back to basics, but my basics are going to be different than someone else's. And that's what it was. This is the 20%. I'm just going to do these things. I'm going to keep providing value and creating solutions for real estate agents. Because if you think it's been hard in mortgage this year, it's been worse in real estate, right? So, yeah, that's kind of been what I've been trying to do.
Well, I will put one of Sean's most recent interviews down below. Keep in mind, if you go to 10x.com trustengine.com/10x, we've got a page that is got some of the best interviews, all 10x. I've interviewed Sean. This will be the third time where he's part of this 10x series. And on that page, if you're not a Mortgage Coach member, there's a link to become a Mortgage Coach member. And also, if you scroll down, you'll see top producer interviews, which are like sales strategies and scripts. And then you'll see training, how to actually be an advisor, how to use Mortgage Coach. So Sean, you did, by the way, did you get a chance to watch the interview, Separation Season with Jeremy? I did on last Tuesday.
I've got a little bit more. I've got like 10 minutes left, but yeah, I listened to that and I just thought it was so spot on. I love that guy. He just, the way that he does things. There's maybe we'll talk about this a little bit, but there's some things we do the same and there's some things we do different. And I love that because it shows that there's not just a way to do this, right? There's your way to do it. You just have to figure out your way and have confidence in it. So that's what I really liked about Jeremy's talk.
Any other takeaways or thoughts that you just thought was spot on, or any ideas you got from it that are worth noting?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down his 10-week plan for the 20 people. I don't know that I'll do it that way, but I love how disciplined he is, right? So Jeremy's 20%, that's it. I'm going to go do these things and I don't even have to think about whether I'll get results from it or not. I will. And I love the way he approached the no-show, right? We all get stood up. He didn't get upset about it. It's like, I'm already here drinking wine. I might as well interview this guy without interviewing him. So I'm going to go stalk him on Facebook for a little bit, learn more about him, because there's no doubt in Jeremy's mind it's going to work out, right? He knows it's going to work out. He just doesn't know when. And I think a lot of us would go to a negative place with that, right? Oh, I just bought a bottle of wine and now this guy's not coming and nobody wants to work with me. And just the negative voice in our head just could kill you in that moment. And Jeremy doesn't have that. It's just, here we are drinking wine and doing research. I'm going to hook up with this guy eventually. So I have no doubts. And I think that is so imperative to what we do in any market.
Yeah. And also in terms of that, not taking things personally, that's something Jeremy's worked on. I mean, he's read the 4 agreements countless times. I mean, he has really worked on one of the 4 agreements. Don't take anything personally. And I do think as we prepare for separation season, there are certain books that are worth reading or rereading. That would be one that I would push everyone to read. So what are you doing in your separation season? Like I asked Jeremy that question and it kind of led to, the analysis he did, the 20 realtors and the 10-week playbook, 5 things, but like, what are some of the high level things you're doing right now to prepare for next year?
So I have, so I'm doing a social get together next week. We're having an inflation party with my real estate partners. Everyone has to wear an inflatable costume. So kind of poking fun at what this year has been. It's been hard for real estate agents. Let's get together, hang out. And I'm not normally the social guy. I am a bit of an introvert, and that's a little bit out of my comfort zone doing something like that. But my sister came up with the idea of wearing the costume. So I was like, I got an idea. We'll call it an inflation party. So I've have, a bunch of people come to that. That'll just be for fun. And then I love presenting in person. So we have our win event. We did something about this earlier this year where I have 165 realtors come to hear a keynote that I did with 2 other guys in my area. We have that scheduled for mid-January to do a kickoff for real estate agents. I love doing one-to-manys. I love being in front of a bunch of people at once. So that's what that's going to be. And at the same time, looking at, okay, it's December, things are quote unquote supposed to slow down. It doesn't feel like they are. How can I add value to real estate agents right now? And I'll share something I just did this morning. Literally first time I've tried this specific tactic in this specific way. It's not a new, tactic. It's a new way of using it. But I've got my tour sheet. I look for agents that I either have worked with in the past or want to work with. And I look for homes that are at the price point I like to finance, that have the clients that I prefer helping the most. Of course, I'll help anyone, but we should at least figure out what we're really good at and who we serve best, because we can't serve everyone. And then I'm just going to start looking at these things and finding solutions for them. If it's a new listing, let's do this. If it's been sitting for a minute, let's do that, and find strategies to help them market and do better.
There's a term in marketing, ICP, ideal client profile, ICP. So you called that out. What is your ICP, your ideal client profile?
I got to write that down. So my ideal client profile tends to be first-time home buyers and veterans. I didn't identify it that way. That I just found that that's who chose me. So I try to work from that angle and go, okay, if a first-time home buyer is walking into this property, is this a first-time home buyer priced property? Is it a low down payment property? Like, I just try to think of the things they're thinking of, so I can speak to what they're thinking about, because a lot of times people don't vocalize their concerns. They've already convinced themselves that they're right. And I want to have things there that answer their questions that they didn't think to ask out loud, but have them be like, huh, I was just thinking this, and this is the opposite of what I thought. I should look into this more. So those are my people.
Cool. So that's your people from a borrower perspective. One of the things that, Jeremy called out, how during his separation season, one, he looked at the numbers, he learned how to use MMI and some of the data tools. And he realized that, hey man, I've got some of the best realtors in Sonoma County are mine. And then who are the 20 that I'm going to go after? And I didn't ask him the question, but I'm sure that there's an ideal client profile or ideal realtor profile, IRP. What is your ideal realtor profile?
That could be broad. I think where it starts, just the first thing that comes to mind is I want to work with real estate agents that I can have fun with. Like, I want the process to be a fun experience. It's not just about the numbers to me. I want to make a difference. I want to help real estate agents. So I'd say newer agents or people that I can help. I want to create more, I want to shortcut the process for them. So Jeremy talked about whales, right? I think that's a big thing at the core, is going after whales in real estate. I've never liked that term. It sits weird with me. But that's what they call it. And I've always done the opposite. Who's hosting? So if you are a big listing agent, a whale listing agent, are you hosting your open houses, or are your brand new buyer's agents hosting those open houses? I want to speak to the new folks and create a relationship to where they go, I am so much better off with Sean than without him. He helps me sell more homes. He helps simplify this process. Even though I am new and may not have full confidence in this yet, Sean makes me look good. So that's my ideal realtor profile, is probably somebody that's newer, that is really heavy on the buy side, obviously. So that's what I look for.
Got it. So growth minded, at the end of the day, I wrote
Sure.
growth minded. And then at the end of the day, though, they do need to be doing some loans. I mean, selling some homes, or they're not going to be able to give you referrals. Do you have any type of production criteria or any way in which you kind of vet, hey, they're cool, there's someone I can have fun with, they have a growth minded, and they are doing at least X in business? Does anything come to mind?
6 to 12. So if I look at like an MMI type thing, and it's hard to gauge how accurate that data is. But I would say I wanted somebody who's doing 6 to 12 transactions a year at a minimum. Because you can't be good at something if you don't do it a lot, right? So I want to make sure they're good. At the same time, if they don't have that yet, just when you speak to people, you can kind of feel if they're motivated. I met with someone last month, and she doesn't have any plan. I got my license, kind of one thing led to another, and here I am. I'm like, what are you going to do? She's like, I don't know if that's going to work out. Like, that to me doesn't feel like somebody that's going to really be there. So I tried to help her to formulate a plan and figure out who her ideal client profile, like what that looks like. So sometimes I'll just take a chance, right? You don't know who the whale is going to be. Once somebody becomes a whale, every loan officer in that market's going to be calling on them, right? If you're the person who helps them become the whale, they'll be your partner forever.
Love that. So there is a certain level of production, and and it sounds like, hey, when you're interviewing people, looking for cool people that you'll connect with, they either need to be that person, or you need to feel like they're going to be that person soon, and I can help them be that person. And if you're not feeling that, that's off the list. How many total realtors refer you business per year, or what do you think are the number of active agents you have?
Fair amount. I'd say, well, maybe not a fair amount. I don't know if this is a big number or not, but I want to say 30. I'd say there's 30, and some are kind of hit or miss. And it's been really interesting this year, how many people, they just refer. Like, I may not even met them in person, just from social. They have some level of confidence with me, and it's, hey, Sean, I'm referring you this buyer. So it's gotten a lot more broad, definitely throughout the state of California. But yeah, I'd say roughly 30.
Yeah, and then I know you covered this in a recent interview we did, but it was just so important. I want to connect it to this separation season. You're pretty thoughtful and strategic with how you get referred by agents, and how you train and lead your agents to refer you. Could you kind of unpack your process for that?
Yeah, it's kind of being a data junkie. I want real estate agents to be as successful as fast as possible. I say I want them to sell more homes. I want them to sell homes faster and show less homes, right? So I want them to get into contract quickly. One of the things I noticed is that with me, when there's an email intro, it works so much better than a text intro, or I gave this person your phone number, or hey, call this guy. It just works dramatically better. The engagement happens faster. They get pre-approved faster. They get into contract faster. So I coach the agents that I work with on that and say, you don't have to do it this way. But I'm telling you right now, it works dramatically better. I have the data to support that. And then they, some do, some don't, but I haven't been wrong. That seems to work really, really well for me. And one agent I met with last week, she's newer. She referred me someone yesterday. We had that conversation. I said, look, your business is very text heavy. Mine is email heavy. And I've found that the buyers seem to prefer an email intro when it comes to the finance side of things. So she followed instructions, and that person scheduled a Zoom meeting with me. They emailed me yesterday, and we have a meeting today. It just works.
Love that. So Jeremy, when he shared that, hey, I'm going to target 20 agents, that he positioned as whales. I don't know if all 20 were whales or just all 20 were targets. And then he said, and over the next, I think it was like 6 weeks or couple months,
Mm-hmm.
what did he say?
So over the next 10 weeks, he's going to talk to them 5 times, meet with them twice in person, send 1 thank you card, send 1 personalized video, and send 1 gift.
And you said you think you liked the structure of that, but you would probably do it differently. What might you do differently?
For me, so Jeremy's good. I think Jeremy's good at cold calling. I'm not. So Jeremy would, do those reach outs where I try to do more of a one-to-many. I'd rather get in front of a bunch of people first and then find a way to get a one-to-one after. It's not my comfort zone. It's not my, I shouldn't say that. It's not my strong suit to, hey, you should meet with me because I'm a really good lender out of the blue. I'd rather they get value and go, whoa, this guy seems like he's really smart. And then when I reach out, it's not cold anymore. So that's the only thing I think I would do different. I love the thank yous. I don't do thank you cards enough. I need to do that more. Personalized videos, I do those constantly. Like that's an easy layup for me. And I like the gift idea. And I think the thank you and the gift are like ways of showing gratitude, right? I don't do that enough. I may think it, but I don't show it enough. And just to actually go out and give a gift, not that we're trying to buy their business, but to show you actually are paying attention. Jeremy mentioned there was one guy he was looking at that was in really into leadership, right? He saw that he was into leadership. He's reached out to him. The guy hasn't called him back. He went to his office, dropped something off, like he's going down his checklist. And then there's a leadership book that Jeremy likes, and he left him that. That's going to resonate, right? You're not going to forget Jeremy now because that was so out of the blue, and it just shows his heart. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, he shows him that he knows him. And I thought that was good. What are your thoughts? I know at some point in this conversation, you've got a total cost analysis and a strategy that you're using with realtors. What are your thoughts on well, first of all, I guess, why don't you describe what that TCA and what your, advice is right now. And then we'll see if that should weave into your, realtor outreach program.
Yeah. So basically I try to be very empathetic, right? We're in December. It's normally a slower time of year. Normally, doesn't mean it's always that way. And real estate agents have properties that may be sitting. They may have people who are trying to sell right now and coming to the market, even though they prefer to hold off till February when things heat up, but for whatever reason, they have to list now. I want to overcome the perception of December is not a good time to list, right? So if I need to help them move inventory, that's what I want to try to do. So I just pulled up one property. I was like, I'm going to reach out to this agent. I'm just going to build a TCA to show how I would show this new listing. Like I would show how a buyer can offer over ask because it just hit the market today. When I pulled it up on Redfin, it showed that it was actually relisted. It was listed previously at $799 and now it's listed at $785. So she pulled it off the market, lowered the price. That'll catch people's attention. It's a new listing, so it shows differently. So I started to build out a TCA going $785 and then offer above ask in 25,000 increments. And I've shown you guys those a bunch of times. And then I went, wait a second, this just came back. So I need to flip this. What are the buyers who looked at it before thinking about? They're probably thinking, why hasn't it sold? Oh, it's down a little bit. Maybe we can offer. What does the agent want? She probably has pressure from her seller to get rid of this thing, right? Like, don't worry, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I'm just thinking of the pressure that's on her. And at the same time, what would her sellers love? How much would they love to get a higher price? Or how much would she love to sell above the new list price, whether there's a credit or not, right? So if we think of how, just sold works, if I'm listed at 750 and it sells for 800 and I ask for a $50,000 credit, it just shows on Redfin that the property sold for 800,000, right? So the neighbors then see that. So I'm just trying to create more, I guess I'm just playing to the emotion of buying a home on all 3 sides, buyer, seller, listing agent. So the TCA I put together see, why can't I share? Oh, there it is. The TCA I put together, I did. So again, I was going to hit this as list price. Let me move this guy real quick. I was going to hit it as list price and then do 25,000 over ask, 50,000 over ask, 75,000 over ask, and then make a video that speaks to, it's not the cost of the home that matters. It's what does the house cost you, right? And then I would have her print the first 3 pages, or I would print the first 3 pages and have that be an open house flyer that gives buyers what they really want to see and creates engagement with the person hosting the open house. Because again, if you walk into a house, it's really busy. There's a bunch of other people there looking at the same house. You're thinking, oh my gosh, I wonder how much more I'm going to have to pay. Oh, look, Sean already answered that for me. He gave me a way to look at this that's different than anyone else has shown me. And that's what I wanted to show. But I saw that it was reduced. It was at $799 initially, and now it's down to $785. So how cool would it be if we got the price back up, right? So what I did is said, you could, buyer, you can save $15,000 immediately, offer $799, ask for a $15,000 credit, and you lower your cash to close from 53 to 39, right? Basically just getting down to down payment. And this is 5% down because in my market, sadly, this is a first-time home buyer house. And I want to speak to the people that I think are going to look at this property. So this answers the question for, my out of pocket. I don't have enough money to buy it, or maybe I want to hold more money back for a savings account or home improvements, whatever. That speaks to that person. What if the other visitor's like, I just can't afford this house. I love this house, but I can't afford it. Well, what if we use the seller's money to buy down the interest rate and do a 2-1 buy down? So I illustrated year 1 and year 2, right? This is a lot of information at once. It's probably a little confusing. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you're intrigued by this, but you're confused by this, then hopefully you're going to reach out to this guy, right? And have him explain it. And if they go to the live URL of this, which the realtor has and can share, the video explains this. Here's why I'm showing you these things. Here's how I'm showing if you pay more, you save more. And that was it. So I recorded a video. This was 30 minutes before we got on today's call. I emailed her and said, hey, I saw that you had this property just come back to market. It looks like you dropped the price a little bit. I want to show you how we can show buyers how they can pay more and save more. And I sent it out, and we'll see what happens. I've never tried this strategy. That's the first time I've done it. But again, it's not, I didn't reach out to her saying, hey, I'm a really good lender. It was, hey, I can feel like, I kind of can feel your pain on this. I'm sorry that this thing didn't sell. I'm sure your sellers are frustrated. Let me try and give you both what you're actually looking for, while at the same time saving buyers even more money.
Well, one, you're showing the agent that you know them. You're getting to a need, speed to need, which is the new, skill. You're using creativity. And then to your point, while it is not just a super simple thing, and it does require some explanation, like between how you've used MortgageCoach and then how you're communicating, you're bringing clarity and confidence in a new way. And at the end of the day, you're separating yourself from your competition. Great job. Scott just asked, do you mind sharing that TCA link?
Yeah, I'll pop it in the chat real quick.
Yeah. So by the way, guys, for everyone who's watching this live give us a reaction. Let us know what you think of this conversation so far and what you think of Sean's strategy. Also remember, so I love it. You're getting lots of hearts, dude. So you are rocking it. So, you take a lot of pride in the fact that you do a lot of production, and you're pretty small, team. Like, you're not a big team. You've got a pretty simple mortgage practice. Could you just share your overall philosophy around, doing big things with a small team?
No, yeah, thank you. It kind of came out of necessity. So in 2017, I became a mortgage advisor. I had gone basically broke trying to serve loan officers. And I didn't have any money to hire a big team. I'd done 0 loans. So I had to figure out how to do big volume really quickly and by myself. And so I did that. And I realized by doing that, all the loan officers I previously served said they would do, you'd have someone like Jeremy, if I had a big team like Jeremy, I could do 100 million too. And that was always the mindset, was if the company would bet on me and hire me a bunch of assistants, then I'll do 100 million as well. But the company's not going to be willing to put in the money for the overhead to do that. Well, what if that's a broken thought process? What if we didn't believe that to be the truth? What if we believed we could do more on our own? And that's, I didn't set out to prove that on purpose, but I think it was a byproduct. And so it's me, my sister's my assistant, and we have a processor, and that's it. And we did 100 million last year. We had one extra person when we did 220 million in 2021. But that's what we did. And we kept that going because I didn't think 2020 and 2021 were going to last forever. Right. One of my biggest fears is hiring someone and having to let them go. I've never had to lay anybody off. So what we said is, there's no way this lasts forever. Let's just go one more month. And one more month turned into 2 years. By going through that process, we got really, really clear on what our process is, what our strengths and weaknesses are. And and the personality it takes to kind of accomplish those goals. Like everybody has to want to do a lot. And that's what we've done. And, one thing for me, just touching on MortgageCoach, that's always interesting, is so many people tell me that they just don't have time to do MortgageCoach. And they're like, how do you have time with all the volume you're doing? This is why I'm doing the volume. It's like counterintuitive, right? It's like, if you take the time to add value to somebody, you're going to be better, right? I talked to someone earlier this week. We were talking about these influencer, like mortgage social media influencer brokerages that are kind of starting to pop up because they're getting thousands of leads from TikTok and Instagram, but very few of them actually close. And so it's like, I don't have time to focus on adding more value because I have thousands of leads to get back to. Well, your conversion rate's ridiculously low. I've just chosen to look the other way and go, I want my conversion rate to be ridiculously high.
Yeah, no, you've always, because I've watched you. I mean, I remember when you used to, be a full-time biz dev guy, and you were, you would recruit loan officers, and then you would manage them and help them be successful. And then you're like, you know what? I could do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to become $100 million producer. And I've heard people say that before. You did it, and you did it in record speed, and then you became a $200 million producer. And now you've really, congratulations for executing your vision, being incredibly authentic and doing it your way, Sean. I admire it and killer. I noticed on social media you've been promoting some type of a workshop, a tiny master. What is it called?
The tiny event.
The tiny event. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is Sean doing here?
Yeah.
So what's the what and why on that? And what
Yeah.
is it?
So, okay. So going back to 2017, all you loan officers made me broke. So I was very jaded. I wanted nothing to do with loan officers. I'm going to do it my way, and I'm never going to look back. And then I kind of found my rhythm, right? I'm still the new guy. 2021, hey, people started to reach out like, will you coach me? And I said, no, I'm not. I want nothing to do with loan officers. And then I started to think, it just didn't sit with my heart right. It's like, well, I do love helping people, and I want to get back to that. So maybe I will help like a little, I'll just tip my toe in. And that's what I've done. So I have a coaching program where I'll coach up to 10 loan officers at one given time. It's all individual. And I was trying to find my rhythm with how I can help loan officers. And I think a big turning point for me was the Mastermind Summit this year. I don't see other people. I have my head down. I believe the market is what I believe it is. And when I went to Mastermind, the energy was just drained from the room. We went past that, May 10th date where rates were supposed to get dramatically better. And I think so many people were holding on to that they weren't doing anything. There was no separation season. Like separation season started in January. And a lot of people just were waiting for May. Oh, in May, it'll be easy again. And it didn't happen. And the room was deflated. And I honestly was like, I'm never coming to one of these again. Like, I don't want to know what the real story of my industry is. I want the story to be what I've convinced myself it is. And I was like, I want to help people. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. You know, the market doesn't have to determine our success. So somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, Sean, would it be okay if I came and shadowed you for a few days? And I was driving home from Newport with my wife, and I was like, what would I have him do? He's just going to sit here and watch me return emails. Like, I don't know what I'd have him do, but that stuck with me. And I tried to do a group coaching thing because I know money is hard to come by, and people are scared to invest in themselves. It's like, maybe I can have like a bunch of people on a group coaching thing. It didn't work because of what I'm trying to help people find is their own unique way to separate themselves. Separation season comes from you being able to separate yourself as something special. And we're all special. We just have to find out why we're special. So that wasn't working. And then this guy that asked me if he could come shadow me just kept coming to mind. And I was like, well, what if I did an event for a small group of people? So it'd be very engaging. And I just show them exactly what we do and how we do it. And the first day will be all marketing and branding with just me. So on Friday, all marketing, all branding. And then I want them to see how this tiny team does it, because I don't want to speak to what my processor does. I don't want to speak to what Nicole does, because I don't know exactly what they do. So Saturday, we'll have them there, because obviously I can't do this during the week when we all need to be working. And we're just going to break it down, and everyone will leave there with their own unique plan. They may copy a bunch of the stuff that we do and it may fall into place, but that's what it is. I want more people to understand how they can accomplish a lot, either on their own with no assistant. I did 75 million, just me and a processor. You don't have to have an assistant. Or I have an assistant, or maybe you had a big team and you did have to do layoffs. And now it's like, we've been a little lost this year. I want people to go into 2024 just like fired up and like, I'm stealing, or not stealing, I am taking market share. The market doesn't matter for us individual loan officers or mortgage advisors. If you're doing one loan a month and you do 2 loans a month, you doubled your market share. You know, cross-country mortgage needs to care about market share. Wells Fargo needs to care about market share, but we can make a dramatic difference in our lives, our finances, and our happiness with just like a small shift. And so that's what this tiny event is like, I'm going to put it all out there and show people, here's how we do it. You can ask us all anything you want. I have a Navy SEAL speaker coming because that's what I modeled it after. They're the smallest team that accomplishes some of the biggest things in the world. So they're going to speak to mindset and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm super pumped for it. I'm super excited.
I'm pumped for you. If someone wants to find out about it, is there a link somewhere?
Yeah, I'll pop that in here. It's going to be in Newport Beach, January 26th and 27th. It is tiny.seanherrero.com. Let me pop that in here.
And if I recall, it's only available for 10 people.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because again, I want it to be engaging, interactive. If it's more than that, I can't make a difference. I think that I can have more impact on a group of 10 people in 2 days than I can in a year. And that's why I wanted to do it that way.
Love that, Sean. Well, I think everybody knows how I feel about Sean. I've interviewed him a lot, and I think he's one of the most inspirational and very practical, people that are doing a lot of volume and doing it their way, just authenticity. So, and I always find that, you help turn a lot of loan officers into mortgage coaches, so thank you for all the interviews you've done and all the LOs that you've helped turn into advisors. And I hope, 10 amazing people go to this. I hope you have a list of 20. And I hope you turn loan officers into data-driven advisors, man. Go get it. And anything I can do to help, let me know. And you know how close that is to my house. That
wasn't by accident.
I know. We're gonna have to do an adventure walk first thing in the morning. Have a little photo contest.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna ask you about that. So that was
maybe we could
that'd be a great way to start Saturday morning.
Yeah, maybe we make that part of the program. Anybody that's in, we take them to Crystal Cove and do something fun.
Yeah, no, I'm super pumped, and it was just paying attention to all these things that have happened to me this year, and then paying attention to what people have asked me this year, and then just looking at where other people are, and I'm just like, man, there's so much opportunity if we see it that way. I've been listening to this guy, Joe Dispenza. Have you heard any of his stuff
Oh,
before?
yeah. Becoming supernatural and crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I hate the term realist now. There's no such thing as realist, right? Like we didn't do a lot of volume because rates were high. We didn't do a lot of volume because the market's bad. Our bills don't get paid by our excuses. And so I just chose not to pay attention to any of that. My December, so I went in separation season. I went into the holidays, right? Going, I am not going to be the person that believes it's slow in November and December. There are transactions happening and I'm pissed off that I'm not a part of them, and I'm going to change that. So we'll do, close to 10 million, I think, this month, in a month where we're not supposed to, right? And my wife says realist all the time, and I correct her on it as much as I can. And, she's this year, 2020, 2021, it's like, oh yeah, we're in the mortgage business. This year, it's like, whoa, we can't go on that trip. We're in the mortgage business. I hate when people say that. Like we can't say we're in the mortgage business as if it's a bad thing. It can be an incredible thing if we choose for it to be. And yeah, so I've just had like so many epiphanies this year. It has been hard, but I thrive in adversity. I love adversity because of who we become on the other side of it. So I don't know. That's why I'm so pumped up for this thing.
Well, we're getting a lot of great feedback. Greg Prete just said something really nice just about, how much he admires your turning lemon into lemonade thinking, and then owned a little bit of, letting the inventory problem get into his head a little too much. Great job, Greg. And someone I want to get, Rick has said, can you explain the first payment rate in that TCA? And then also for any advice you have for loan officers that, aren't creating enough total cost analysis, they're not making that core to what they do. Any advice to make it easy and fast for them to learn?
Yeah. So, they shouldn't take long. I think the more you do something, the better you get at it. This took me probably 10 minutes to build out. So I'll share my screen again. So what was the first question? Was in regards to the rate?
It was something about how to explain the first, hang on, when you put it in the screen.
How do you explain the first payment percent rate? First payment percent rate. First total interest percentage?
Yeah, I think they're talking about the first in the buy down. Just put a little more description around that. And Rick, if you have a more detailed question, we're having a hard time interpreting it. And then someone asked, are we going to do questions at the end? Hey, I'm going to do questions the whole time. So whoever asked that, Josh, just put your questions in here and I'll make sure I get to them.
So I'm going to assume it's on the first total interest percentage. Well, I'll tell you how I explain this. Somebody actually hit me up yesterday that's closing today. And he's like, why the hell am I paying this much in interest? How am I not paying any principal? And so the way I explain this is a government required disclosure. The government felt it was important that we all know that if this loan goes 30 years, how much of interest we will have paid. You will have paid 133% of your loan amount in interest. Well, I don't want to do that. Great, pay cash. We can't control it, can't change it. It is what it is, right? So I just say, look, this is what it is, but odds of you having this mortgage for 30 years, slim to none. I don't think you'll have it in 2 years. And as rates go down and you refinance, the amount of interest you pay will go down. But if we need to borrow money, the banks are going to make money, right? They're going to double their money making a mortgage. If they said, well, why is it lower in year 1, year 2? I'd say, look, this number really doesn't matter all that much anyways, because we have no control over it. It's just a disclosure. It's not accurate because I need to take a blend, right? So I guess if I wanted to give them a number, I would have to take a blend of year 1, year 2, and year 3 through 30, right? Like once it goes permanent. But I once I tell people it's just a required disclosure, it is what it is. We can't do anything about it, but I don't think you'll have this house or this loan for 30 years anyways. And so you just have to explain it. Same thing with loan costs. Like while we're on that subject, people are like, what the hell? Why am I paying $300,000 in the first year? Down payment, interest, closing costs. This is just a reflection. The government felt it was important that you know that. I don't want to do that. Then don't buy a house. Like I don't know what else to say. So that's how I explain those two things. I mean, I'm softer, maybe. Like my tone might be a little bit different, but that's basically how I explain it.
All right.
Was that the question? I want to make sure I hit that right. Was that the right question, Rick? Oh yeah, it was. Okay, good. That's exactly what I'm referring to. Okay, good.
Yeah. And then I did put a link just now to everyone, here's Sean's buy down TCA. And then you can go ahead and stop sharing the screen, Sean. Someone had asked, and they had said, hey, realtors aren't coming into their office as much anymore. How are you connecting with realtors?
Yeah,
Or
and
what are
Jeremy
you
does this.
finding the best way to connect with realtors is what they ask.
So, and I don't think this is new. Now, this is something I started doing in 2017. If you try to go into their office, they may not be there, right? You can send a video. So Jeremy said, whatever he was presenting, he was recording it on Friday or whatever. That was Tuesday. He was recording it Tuesday to be sent Friday. So one, he's planning ahead, creating content to be consistent. And I'm sure he sends a video to his realtors every Friday. And I do the same thing. That to me has been the best way to get more people engaged, because I can reach 900 people on a Friday with one video, or doing in-person meetings. That's really what everything comes to me. Here's another example. There's an agent I work with that works in Silicon Valley a lot, really, really high price point. He recently moved up to Sacramento, which is my ideal price point. And I said, hey, we haven't talked in a while. This is on an Instagram DM. I did this at 6 a.m. I didn't want to text him and wake him up. Hey man, it's been a minute. Are you trying to grow up there now? Or are you still focused only on Silicon Valley? No, man, I want to blow up here. I have a listing strategy that I want to show you. When can we meet up? And he's like, let's do Zoom. It'll be faster for our schedules. And I love this guy. And I was like, no, I want to come. I'll come up and see you. He's like, let's just do it on Zoom. So we're going to do a Zoom this afternoon. So I had an idea, thought of someone, sent him a DM, and I have a meeting with this afternoon, and it's somebody who does a fair amount of business. And it's just aligning. And again, I know that he wants to be listing heavy. I want to add value to him. And he probably has 6 people on his team. So by reaching out to one person, I'm probably reaching 7 people.
Love that. I'm going to ask you, just because a couple of people has said, what content do you share in your Friday videos to agents? But before you answer that, I want to ask this question that Josh Johnson just posted. He said, I just turned 30 years old. I'm in the mortgage business for about 5 years, and this year's been my best year yet. And I made it into the top 3 for units in my, group of managers. So best out of 20 loan officers. Great job, brother, by the way. The funny thing is I still let my age get into my head, even though I know I can bring them value. And then his question is, have you ever found your age being something that got in your way mentally? And if so, how did you get around that?
One, Josh, killing it. Congratulations. I've been doing this since I was 19 years old, and I was in wholesale. And the first presentation I ever gave, I was really, really nervous. Did a presentation at a brokerage, and I said, are there any questions? And one girl's hand shot up, and I was just like, that means if you have a lot of questions, it means you did a good job. And she goes, how old are you? And I was like, oh, I'm 20 years old. Are there any other questions? There were none. So yeah, that's always been on my mind. And it's funny you ask that, because I got over it. And I think, dude, you're 30. You're already in the ideal age of a first-time home buyer. I would leverage my age, if I were you, to real estate agents who are in like an older demographic, because they are trying to relate to your generation. And who would they be better to partner with than you, who can relate to their demographic that they're trying to reach? At the same time, there's lots of agents your age coming in. You're in your perfect spot, so there's no thought about it. Now, for me, most of my clients are in their 30s. I'm getting insecure about being in my 40s, if I'm honest. So none of it matters. Nobody cares how old we are. Like, can you help them? Yes, I can. Cool. Then I don't care if you're 80 or you're 20. If you can help me make better financial decisions on the largest purchase I've made in my life, you're my guy.
Yeah. And Josh, while I am the old guy with gray hair, I started in my 20s, and I was, punk rock kid in Huntington Beach, California. And I created MortgageCoach so that I could literally like ask a few questions and then them just go, wow, this dude is sharp. Wow, this guy has my best interest in mind. So the energy you bring to the game, the advice you bring to the game is all that matters, and by the way, you could do that at any age. For all the, 50-plus-year-olds, you could change and you could bring that young energy. And when you're young, and Josh in the 30s, you're in the sweet spot, man. So your age is an asset, and just keep rocking out what you're doing. So before we ask the question, what do you put in those videos? Kirk just said, I use TCAs for every client, have for years, love Mortgage Coach. Yes, Kurt, you the man. And want to start using them on social medias, but getting pushback from compliance. Don't want to buck the system, but can I prove enough value? But what can I prove is enough for compliance? And but by the way, Kurt, be sure to check out a couple of the total cost analysis that I put in the group over the weekend. There was one that was just a great example of a rent versus own, and the TCA was part of that. And then there was also one with Rate Watch, and Denise Donahue leveraged that. But Sean, what are your thoughts on what Kurt said?
So that's tough because compliance is a very gray area, company to company. To me, Mortgage Coach is a compliance tool. Mortgage Coach kind of forces that we're all compliant. I mean, I'm looking this total cost analysis we just looked at. I quoted a rate of 6.75. The applicable fees are marked in there as APR fees. So my APR is 6.768. I mean, that's a big part of it, right? But I think what I do with my videos on social media is I don't talk rate. If you have a picture, right? So if you green screen on Instagram, or you do a YouTube video and you're showing an example, that's just one example. I'm not quoting rates. This is not a guarantee to lend. I'm just showing you an example of how this could work. And that, I think, makes, well, I shouldn't say, I mean, you really have to ask your compliance department about that. But to me, if I was just throwing out rates left and right, that's a huge problem. Mortgage Coach keeps me compliant.
Yeah. So, and my answer on that is Mortgage Coach is a compliance tool. Now, that to be said, you could make individual TCA and do things in it that wouldn't be compliant, and you can make a video that would be and wouldn't be. And I think, my approach would be, one, first of all, respect your compliance person, talk to them, make sure they understand how it is a compliance tool, and then focus on what you can do, not what you cannot do. But thank you for asking that question. It's a good question. What's up, Michelle Town? It's good to see Michelle in here. She's a badass. All right, let's go ahead. A bunch of people asked, what do you put in those Friday videos?
So I should have had it on the tiny event thing if you want to get on the email list for those. So instead, DM me on Instagram at Adventure Lender. Just say Friday, and I'll add you to the list. And then I'll show you, but it depends. I like to talk about rate updates. Hey, here's what happened with rates this week. We'll see what next week holds. Solutions, things like this. Hey, I just got someone into contract and this is what we did. I want to help people solve problems. I think that's the overall view of the Friday videos is, I want to send something that adds value to them. And I'm not going to ask for business. I'm not going to say I'm a great lender. I can think of one right now that I'll probably touch on. I had a buyer who's closing this week. He said his absolute max was $1,150,000 on a property in Oakland, and he's in contract at $1,275,000. And that was the result of me showing him how he can do a 2-1 buy down with a seller credit in Mortgage Coach. To the realtor, they're making a much larger commission than they would have otherwise. But more importantly, this buyer got a house in an increasing market.
Did Jeremy do one like that? I feel like I did an interview in the past 2 weeks that was like that TCA. Was that Jeremy?
I think so. I can't remember what he said his was, but on his interview last Tuesday, he said, I'm sending this video on Friday. I think it was that one, but I don't remember what the subject matter was or what the context was.
Yeah, but guys, here's the formula. Speed to need. What are the problems? What are the needs? Real world stories. I mean, if you're using Mortgage Coach and you're delivering advice, every single one of those, it's a story. And every single one of those is a strategy of how you help someone get clarity and confidence. And you know what people don't have in today's market? Clarity and confidence. That is that is not what people have. So when you can say uniquely, this is how I'm going to help your customers become more clear and more confident, that's value. Like here's some of the biggest questions everybody has in their heads right now. What's next for mortgage rates? What are home prices headed? Up, down? Is a recession around the corner? I mean, those are just three of the biggest questions. And when you can say, hey, this is how I helped a buyer, this is how I helped a seller, and focus on one story, one strategy. And then I think you always say, show, don't sell. Is that kind of the formula for Friday?
Yeah, those three things are 30 videos. I mean, and I would almost not talk about anything else. Recession. What does recession mean, right? Because when people in their 30s are thinking of a recession, they're thinking home prices are going to crash. We all know that's not the truth. We know that's happened once. Show them that that's the case. Record a video and say, look, a recession's coming. That's why you hear about the Fed rate cuts. Like my Instagram is full of people talking about how the Fed's going to cut rates 6 times next year. What does that mean? If you're not in mortgage or real estate, do you really know what that means? You don't. But if that's the buzz, use that buzz to create content, right? And that content could be a YouTube video, an Instagram video, a video to your database. I strongly believe if I could only choose one of those three things, I would do database content only, because those are people that are already engaged with you and actually care. I don't care if I get 1 million views on Instagram. I don't know any of those people, and they're probably not going to do anything, but the people in my database will. But there's so much to create just by solving the problems and helping people understand misconceptions. Oh, like I put a video out last week talking about how rates are going down, and when rates go down, home prices will go up, right? And everyone goes, this guy's an idiot. When rates go down, people will be able to sell. So there's going to be a flood of inventory and home prices are going to crash. Well, where's the seller going? The seller's going to have to buy something. So if I add one property to the market, but then I take one property away, how much inventory was added? We're net zero. They're not thinking about it that way. I know from their comments, they're not thinking about it that way. So now guess what? I get to make a new video to answer that misconception or that concern. And so it's just pure education and like giving to people. And it truly is coming from a place of truly wanting to help someone. I don't want anyone to hold off on buying a house if they can afford it and it all makes sense for them now. It's just going to get more expensive. You know, there's just no way it won't, unfortunately, at least in my market. So those are the kind of things I think you could speak to, is just help people overcome people's misconceptions and maybe false perceptions.
Yeah. And a couple links I want to make sure everybody has, you know, like I said, trustengine.com/10x. And every person I interviewed is doing huge volume. And as you can see, I talked to Sean in September. I interviewed him as part of this series. October 3rd, right after he presented to 161 realtors. But every one of these interviews is amazing. And then, like I told you, if you scroll down, you can sign up for our live trainings for anyone that, you know, hey, I need help on how to create a buy down TCA or a rent versus own. Every Wednesday, every Thursday, we have live training. And then we have tons of videos, you know, that will teach you how to create a total cost analysis. Also, we put a link to Sean's tiny event.
Cool.
You know, it's, what is this? Oh, register by.
Yeah.
So register by in 10 days and your hotel's included. Guys, let's sell this thing out. I mean, 1 day of marketing with a Navy SEAL trainer and really getting into your authentic story and strategy. 1 day of execution. Anyways, I hope 10 plus people sign up for that, brother.
Thank you.
So we got 5 minutes left. I don't know. I lost track. We have so many questions in here. Did you see any questions come in that we want to make sure we answer before we wrap?
Okay. So Carlos, the open house logo, I made that. So you could make that and just upload it instead of your company logo, as long as it's compliant. Jack said, where are the training videos? Where's the 10X? What is it? MortgageCoach.
Yeah.
/10X.
Trustengine.com/10X and scroll down and you'll see those. And then let's do this one. Eddie just asked, if you've never sent a video to a realtor before, how would you start?
I would send a video to a realtor. Eddie, I know you, dude. We've known each other a long time. And I've been saying that since what, 2015? So it's been about 8 years. So send a video to a realtor. It's not hard. You just gotta, it's just getting uncomfortable. Like it's uncomfortable and then it becomes second nature.
And remember, the first time you send a video to a realtor, it's probably not going to get the most views. It's about the commitment to doing this over time. And then here's the other thing I would tell you, Eddie. The time you put into recording a video, and it's a story, it's a strategy, you're going to get good at having that conversation. So not only are you going to have that one-to-many video in the market, and your first one is going to suck compared to your fifth one, so get over it. But you're actually going to get better at having that story and strategy, and it's going to help you with all your one-on-one meetings. Like the kind of content Sean is talking about and he's creating, it will not only impact one-to-many, which will have a result, it'll make you a better mortgage advisor. So guys, get after it, start sending. Eddie, you gonna do it? Eddie, give us a commitment here. Like if you're gonna do it, we're gonna hold you accountable, man. All right.
Ricky said,
all right, he's gonna do it. Thank you, Eddie.
Okay, cool. Send it to me, Ricky. Yeah, or Eddie, you have my email. So Ricky asked, do you hold events with realtors from different companies or all from the same company? I try to do both. It's getting harder and harder to get into companies. Everyone's got preferred lenders and this and that. So that can't be the reason. And when I say reason, it's our excuse. Our excuse for why we're not accomplishing our goal is because they won't let me in. Pull them out. If you can, set up a lunch for 10 people and get into lunch and just talk about something, they'll come, but you have to have something of value to talk about. You have to be solving their problems, helping them build business, like truly doing that, not just saying that. You need to show them how to overcome their problems in this market.
One last question before we run out of time. You have become a First Home IQ ambassador, and I know you're pretty passionate about that. What is your why? Why did you get behind First Home IQ?
Because I have a 20-year-old son and he learned nothing right in school about financing. I didn't either. I almost failed, didn't graduate high school because I got an F in economics, and like I was at an F and I pulled it back, but that was the most important class. And there's so many misconceptions for the next generation of how things work. If I can shortcut and have them learn at 20 what I'm learning at 40, the amount of money they will have and the wealth they will create will be absolutely insane. And I love that First Home IQ is so focused on that. And it's fun to have like a group of people that we're all focused on the same objective.
Yeah, we're up to 60 ambassadors now. Sean, thank you for being early and being that. We'll put a link down below for anyone that wants to get on that. It's firsthomiq.com, and you can find the ambassador sign up link. So check that out. So Sean, last 2 minutes, any closing thoughts?
I think the one thing that comes to mind is whatever, when you tell yourself the reason why I'm not is because of ... you got to flip that switch, and it's just not true. The market does not determine our success. And I love that Dave has prefaced this whole thing as grabbing market share. No one's doing the volume they were previously, right? But if you're grabbing market share, you're still winning. Like if I do, okay, so let's just say I do 75 million this year and I get to refinance 50 million of that. I've already set myself up for a great 2024, and think of how many more people will buy when the rates come down. So if you're grabbing market share, you're setting yourself up to win in the good times. But I think the good times could be every year. And I just want more people to start thinking that way.
I love that. And because someone asked for your 20-year-old, I would suggest that they take this little 10-minute First Home IQ test. So it's firsthomiq.com, get my score. Of course, I think everybody in the community should take that. And then to get signed up, just go to the website, First Home IQ. You can also just carry your video or put your camera on this and go to it. But it's pretty self-explanatory. If you go to the First Home IQ, there's a page for loan officers and realtors. Click on that. So Sean, Dude, you killed it as always. Anyone, we still have over 100 people here. Give a reaction. Let Sean know what you thought of today's session. I expect you're going to get a lot of hearts and a lot of clapping. You did. All right. And you killed it, bro. Thank you very much.
Thank
Hope
you as always,
everybody
man.
got, yeah, hope you got value. Share this with your mortgage friends. And Sean's tiny event, if it's not for you, but you know someone who it would be cool for, share a link. Let's get the word out. That's the best way we can thank any coach that comes on this call. Best way to thank them is, one, follow them, take action on their ideas, and if he's got a workshop, check it out. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate you.
Boom.
I'll
You're
see
the
you
man.
soon.
See you soon.
All right. Bye, everyone.